The Caldor Fire still burning out of control.
We have new video of the fire tonight, and listen to this. State fire officials say 23,000 people have now been evacuated from the fire.
And we now know at least 50 homes have been burned in the Grizzly Flats area. At least 2 people have been injured, and we can confirm those people are being treated at the UC Davis Burn Center.
And major concern today has been keeping the fire south of Highway 50. This was the view in Kybers today of that infamous red sign.
And Erica Stapleton kicks off our live team coverage from this area with an update tonight on Highway 50. Erica.
Hey guys, yeah, we are actually right outside that red sign right now here in Kybers. And fortunately, you cannot see any of the flames from our vantage point right here now, but you can certainly smell it in the air and you can see the ash falling. And of course, the visibility is very poor with all that smoke out here today. As you said, the biggest concern is the fire jumping from south of Highway 50 right over here over to the north side of that. So far, that has not happened, but people are still taking precautions. Just in front of us, we have the Sierra Inn that's been closed down. The cones are in the driveway. No one can get in. And right behind me here, you have the post office. There's a sign that says, hey, we're closed. Everybody stay safe. And down the road in Strawberry, Mike Hicks is being the eyes of his neighborhood. He's been checking on his neighbors' homes and their cabins, and he's certainly no stranger to the area. He's been running the Strawberry Inn there for the past 18 years, and he's one of the few left in town. He sent his staff and all of his guests away due to the threat of the Caldor Fire, but is staying on hand to take care of the business until the fire crews tell him to get out.
I got the car almost packed. I just have a few of the last valuable things if I need to actually pack in the car, and then I can take off. So it'd take me 5 minutes to finish up. I packed everything earlier today thinking it might happen.
His lodge was built in 1858 and said he'd hate to see a fire destroy something that has been standing for more than a century. And at this point in time, that has not happened just yet. Again, we cannot see flames here, but again, the threat of that fire jumping over Highway 50 could be a possibility. So crews from Caltrans are actually on standby to potentially close down the highway if that happens. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Erica, thank you. And of course, we're watching that very closely. We'll update you all once we learn more.
Well, to show you a look at the Caldor Fire over the last 48 hours now, more than 62,000 acres have burned. And ABC 10's John Bartell has more along Highway 50 tonight.
All along Highway 50 east of Cedar Grove and Pollock Pines, you'll find road closures just like this. The reason being a massive wildfire is making its way up to the highway here, and people are frantically trying to grab what they can and get out before the fire reaches them. As water trickles down Highway 50's iconic Bridal Veil Falls, a plume of smoke towers over the hillside behind it. And below the smoke, the Caldor Fire is raging. It already crossed Mormon Immigrant Trail Road, which is just 5 miles as the crow flies from Highway 50. Down the canyon, you can see acres of trees scorched as the fire makes its way towards towns like Whitehall and Kybers, where we met Joan Winton.
I have a cabin here, so I came back up today to say goodbye to my cabin, possibly.
Joan Winton is a camp host at Wrights Lake. She evacuated her guests on Tuesday. Wednesday night, though, she gathered all the sentimental values from her cabin.
This is a sentimental picture from my cabin.
News of the fire's growth in the past 24 hours came as a surprise to her.
You could just see the smoke just coming over like a hand.
From Highway 50, the fire is hard to see. A tree-filled canyon wall stands between the fire and the property owners along Highway 50. That's why so many people like Joan are not waiting around to see the flames crest the hill. And fire crews have a big job ahead of them. They are dealing with some very rugged terrain in this canyon here, and their main job, keeping it from coming here to Highway 50.
And tonight, parts of northern Amador County you see on this map have been asked to prepare to leave. The area includes Amador Pines, Lockwood, Buckhorn, parts of Volcano, and Fiddletown. You can find a more specific list at the bottom of your screen.
A new evacuation center opened in Dorado County tonight because others are now full. People are being told to head to the community center on Pleasant Valley Road.
And this is a look at the mandatory evacuation order still underway in Dorado County tonight. It is a wide area because the Caldor Fire could be changing directions, even threatening the well-known community of Somerset. That's where we find ABC 10's Giacomo Luca joining us live tonight.
Well, Madison and Chris, we spent quite some time just to the east of here in Somerset where we saw Active fire crews doing their best to control the flames. We saw quite a bit of active burning in this area where many evacuations were ordered tonight, sending many people in this community to the south. That's where we found community members banding together.
I'm a little puppy. Oh no! There's so many people that live close to this vicinity that would like to be close to home.
At the DeAugustini Reservoir, the wife and family of El Dorado County's sheriff are giving refuge to those forced to flee, like Aaron Chapman, who barely escaped Grizzly Flats.
This is the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I could actually see the flames coming through the trees.
He's now staying at the growing de facto camp where dozens have fled and so many have been offered help.
Food, power, water, bathrooms, right? We can have our animals here. There's room for us. Those are my dogs.
Volunteers have brought in food, clothes, and necessities for evacuees and their animals, including shelters and food for farm animals. Carly Babb is staying with her daughter and 3 dogs, offering many thanks tonight.
Sleeping outside, but we've got friends, we've got support, we've got community members, so nice to not be alone. We're thankful that they trust us enough to come here and that God's providing for everything that we can do to help them.
What an incredible way to step up for your community. The DeAugustini family says they have room for about 100 other people as well as cars and campers. That site is located at the DeAugustini Reservoir at Mount Ockham Road in Pond Run. They could really use some help right now with pet food, really for any of those farm animals and home animals. Back to you.
Many people stepping up to try and help during this very difficult time. Giacomo Luca reporting live for us tonight, sir. Thank you.
And turning to Sacramento now, this is the view of the moon tonight from the ABC 10 tower camera. The smoke is not going away anytime soon. Monica tracking these conditions and much more tonight.
Oh, that's right. The smoke all coming in mostly from the Dixie fire for today. The Caldor Fire sending that smoke over towards the Tahoe Basin, also seeing very poor air quality. Now you can see at this hour, we are starting to see just a little bit of lighter contours here, certainly on the east side of the valley. A little bit of yellow, some orange here, right around those fires, though purple, gray. That's indicating the hazardous air still right around those fire lines. We have seen some improvement, though. This is what it looked like at 5 o'clock this afternoon throughout the valley, the foothills, and the Sierra as a bit of a southwest wind is kicked up. That has pushed most of the most hazardous air over towards the east side of the valley into the foothills. The Sierra is seeing a little bit of break. Yesterday at this time, it was extremely unhealthy air. Here's a look at those winds. Now they are starting to back off ever so slightly. Not necessarily really bad news because we don't want those very violent winds happening around the fire lines. This is the Caldor Fire right here where you can see some of those east winds starting to pick up, which will start to push some of that smoke in through the foothills. And you can see some of the hot spots that we've seen over the past 12 hours kind of around the perimeter there. Now the Dixie Fire, a bit of a different situation. We've had a consistent northeast wind blowing and a few more hot spots popping up for today. So that's putting some of these areas still at risk, and firefighters are trying to get the upper hand on the largest single fire in California history. But tools like this, they are hard to come by in these remote areas. One big help in the firefight is the San Jose State University Fire Weather Research Lab out at the Dixie Fire, outfitted with a Doppler lidar and radar, getting detailed weather information within the fire.
And so what we can do is we can point the radar towards the fire and scan the plume, both in the vertical and the horizontal. And so we can measure the winds inside the plume right at the fire.
These observations help stay ahead of a rapidly changing fire environment with fast-moving rates of speed, long-distance spotting, and a lot of heat release from dry, dense fuels.
Parts of the Sierra Nevada, they just have so much accumulated fuel that they're burning really hot. And so that's causing a much more heat release, which then causes a big change in the atmosphere.
All of this becoming valuable information for firefighters on the ground now and in the future as extreme wildfire behavior grows.
And we are getting new numbers tonight in the Dixie fire. It has burned more than 662,000 acres. Containment jumped up to 35%. The fire started 35 days ago on July 13th.
PG&E is still being investigated for causing this fire. More than 1,200 structures have been destroyed. Another 16,000 are threatened. And today, the attempted repopulation of Westwood was delayed because of increased fire activity.
And meanwhile, in Lake County, at least 50 homes are destroyed in Clear Lake. What's being called the Cache Fire. Some of these homes were part of a mobile home park. The fire was last estimated at 80 acres and 20% contained.
Meanwhile, Madison, a lot of people we've been hearing from tonight say they are not seeing a lot of firefighters around them.
Yeah, firefighters are already stretched very thin across the state. And today, CAL FIRE's chief addressed their concerns.
All of the mutual aid system is being stretched. The response, the law enforcement, everything is really stretched.
And he stated that he pulled in more resources from other states, and the U.S. Forest Service says at least 65% of federal firefighters are already deployed in California. CAL FIRE cites Canada wildfires and COVID restrictions as some reasons for limited international help.